Hello and welcome back to another session of Grammar Forward. I'm Sonia. Today's video is on a very important grammar point, subject-verb agreement. You might know that the subject should agree with the verb when it comes to the number. That is, a singular subject should take a singular verb and a plural subject should have a plural verb. But the way in which a subject forms its plural is different from how the verb forms its plural. For example, in the sentence, the bird sings, you can see that the bird is singular and bird is a subject. So the verb also should be singular, so that is why I used sings. So you can see that for the subject, in order to make it singular, we remove the S, but in the case of the verb, we add an S in order to make it singular. Now here is the next sentence, the birds sing. In this case, the subject is birds, so it's plural, and in order to make the subject bird plural, we added an S. So you know that birds has taken a plural verb. But how did we form the plural of the verb sing? We removed the S. So we always add an S in order to make a subject plural, but in the case of a verb, we remove the S so as to make it plural. We have more examples. The dog chases the cat. The walls need to be painted. Sometimes in sentences we use auxiliary verbs like do and does, has and have, different forms of be, and so on. In that case, the subject should agree with the auxiliary verb which is used. For example, we say, he has a car, but they have a car. In another example, she doesn't speak Spanish. They don't speak Spanish. If the subject of a sentence is composed of two or more nouns or pronouns, the subject is called a compound subject. Thus, in the case of a compound subject, it should always take a plural verb. For instance, Sarah and her sister are my students. You, he, and I are friends. But there is an exception to this rule. If the two nouns that are joined using the word and refer to a singular item, it should take singular verb. For example, bread and butter is my favorite breakfast. I cannot say bread and butter are my favorite breakfast because here bread and butter together refer to a singular item. At the same time, if I talk about bread and butter as two different items, I can use a plural verb. For example, bread and butter are sold in this grocery store. There is a point to be noted here. The phrase as well as is often confused with the conjunction and when this phrase is used in a sentence, many among us tend to use a plural verb with the subject. So let's take up an example. John, as well as his brother, wants to join the university. So if we use the plural verb want, it is wrong. Because here, the subject is just John, it is not John and his brother, because as well as is not a substitute for and. When two or more nouns are joined using the word or, the verb should agree with the noun that is the closest to it. And this is called the rule of proximity. For instance, the doctor or the nurses check the temperature. But it's also right to say the nurses or the doctor checks the temperature. The rule of proximity is also applied when we use the paired conjunctions like neither nor, not only but also, and so on. That means the verb should agree with that noun which comes closest to it. For example, we say neither the director nor the actors are ready for the shot. But it's equally right to say neither the actors nor the director is ready for the shot. In another sentence we have, not only Susan but also her friends are absent. In the case of indefinite pronouns, the number of the verb depends on the kind of the pronoun that is used. So if we use a singular indefinite pronoun like each, every, neither, either, no one, anyone, someone, and so on, the verb also should be singular. Thus, it's right to say every student in the class is present. We can also say no one in the class is absent. When we use a plural indefinite pronoun like several, few, both, and many, the verb should be in the plural form. Example, both of them are hard workers. Some of the indefinite pronouns can either be singular or plural. So when used with uncountable nouns, the verb should be in the singular form, and with countable nouns, the verb should take the plural form. For example, some of the sugar is on the floor. So here I am talking about an uncountable noun sugar, so I used the verb in the singular form is. On the other hand, I can say some of the marbles are on the floor. Here I am talking about marbles, something which is countable, so the verb also should be in the plural form. If the subject has a plural form but a singular meaning, the verb also should be singular. For example, we have the words like news, physics, and so on. In both these cases, we have an S added to the word, but actually it has a singular meaning. So we say, no news is good news. Physics is my favorite subject. But if the subject is in a plural form and if it has a plural meaning, the verb also should agree with it and it should also be in the plural form. For example, we have the word scissors. So I say, the scissors are on the table. On the other hand, I should say, the pair of scissors is on the table because here the subject is the pair. In the case of inverted sentences, the verb should agree with the subject. In the sentence, there is a bird on the tree. The subject is not the word there, it is a bird. So I say, there is a bird on the tree. So the subject bird and the verb is agree with each other. Questions are also a kind of inverted sentences. So in the question, how are they? They is a subject, so I have to use the verb are. In the case of collective nouns, the verb can be singular or plural. You know that collective noun is a word that denotes a group of people or things. For example, we have the words family, jury, class, team, and so on. So when I say the jury has taken a decision, I'm talking about jury as one body. So the verb is has, singular. But when I say the jury members meet once a week, I'm talking about the individuals that belong to the jury. So here I said the jury members meet once a week. When referring to an amount of money or measurements of distance or weight, we always use singular verbs. For instance, we can say $100 is not a big sum these days. Or 10 kilometers is a long distance to walk. 10 kilometers is a long distance to walk. But when it comes to percentage, it depends on what we are referring to. So we talk about something which is countable, we use a plural verb. For example, 80% of the students have passed. But when talking about something which is uncountable, we use a singular verb. So 70% of the building is damaged. Now let's take a short quiz and let's see how many of them you can get right. Here is the first one. A number of people, space, vegetables these days. Is it grow or grows? The right answer is grow because here we talk about people. People is a subject. Ready for the next one? Fish and chips, space, my favorite dish. Is it is or are? You know that fish and chips, though two nouns, and though they are joined using and, they are treated as one unit. So it should be fish and chips is my favorite dish. Now on to the third sentence. each of them, space, a book. Should it be has or have? Take your time and choose the answer. It should be each of them has a book. Each is a subject here. Here is the next one. A black and white cat, space, mewing outside. Is it is or are? It is because here I use black and white as an adjective for a cat. And I've used the article a to show that it's one cat, so it should be is. On to the next one. His father as well as his uncle is or are retiring this year. Is it is or are? You know that when we use as well as, it's not a substitute for and, so my father is a subject, so the verb should be is. Here is another tricky one. Many an apple, space, rotten. Is it many an apple, is or are rotten? Though we have the word many at the beginning of the sentence, I have used many an apple and we have to use a singular verb here. So it should be many an apple is rotten. The next one, neither the students nor the teacher, space, in the class. Is the answer was or were? Here, the noun that is closest to the verb is teacher. It's singular, so the verb also should be singular. So the answer is was. Moving on to the next one. The speaker, together with the guests, space, arrived. Is it has or have? The speaker, together with the guests, has arrived. The subject is speaker and that is singular. The remaining part of it is just a phrase that is added to the subject. So the verb should also be singular. Thank you so much for watching my video and I hope this lesson really helped you in improving your English grammar. If you enjoyed watching it, please do like this video. And if you are new with me, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So meet you in the next session. Goodbye until then. Take care and stay safe.